is gonna tell you that the race is gonna be starting. And we're off.
Yep. All right.
All right. Good luck.
You too. I'm not sure how much we should be talking here.
No, no. Like we can still socialize. Just don't talk about the seed.
I suspect even joking about the seed is probably not good.
Like try to limit it, but basically just don't try to give your opponent information.
Oh, well, of course. Hello, Static.
But just like talking about the tournament and whatnot, like that's like all that stuff is fine. Just like don't talk about the seed.
Right. I'm a little bit nervous about the tournament. I've not done something like that before.
It's great. It's great. You'll love it. And you should. I actually think you have a good chance of making brackets.
I hope so.
Because did you see how the tournament structure was?
To me, it looked like it was random.
No.
There was groups of 4, and then you were supposed to, like, it was a mini tournament for every group, and there was going to be 16 people.
Correct. So you'll have you'll have two people from each group advancing. So if you win both of your races, you advance.
Okay. I was also a little bit nervous because I saw in my group was...
Those groups are not correct.
Yeah, I saw that.
My group is like my fate group is the most stacked. My group is like me, Asder, and Ivan, all of which are in the top 20.
Oh boy. Well, mine's got a real cutie pie in it.
Yeah, I mean, cutie pie's really good.
Right.
But,
I think I've been watching all these tournaments for about a year now.
Oh yeah, this...
Like, that I feel good enough to participate in something like this feels really weird.
Yeah, I played in the first tournament back when it was on TGRC. That was back in V9, when the only logics were casual and tournament, and it was tournament logic, which is kind of... Tournament logic in version 9 was kind of in between normal and current hard.
In between?
Yeah. So, like, some of the harder things, like Snail Clip, weren't in logic, but things like...
Like Lava Dives?
But yeah, like Lava Dive was. There was Suitless Meridia possible, but it was it's a lot less, it was a lot more restricted than it is now. Every damn time.
I only started playing it since, what was it, like, version 9 point something? And...
Yeah, I started when version 9 was new.
It was a couple of days later.
Yeah, I started when version 9 was new. I've really enjoyed this. It's one of the reasons why I don't play Ocarina of Time as well, because if I'm going to do something long, I just enjoy this a lot more. Like, I enjoy OOT Rando, just in small doses. Because Ocarina of Time takes me longer. Can you get out of my way, please?
That's good news for me.
Just Ocarina of Time Rando takes me like 5 to 5.5 hours normally, because I'm not very good at Ocarina of Time.
Isn't that just a really long game to begin with?
Like if you're good at movement and good at routing, Ocarina of Time seeds usually take like 3 hours.
That's still pretty long for a game to speedrun.
Ocarina of Time also has a lot of item locations. It has 244 locations. So it has more than Link to the Past.
Yeah, that's... I mean, I think there's 300 something with the 2 games here.
Yeah. Yeah, the combo randomizer is 316. I mean, that's definitely an astute observation. I'm okay with that, but that's definitely an astute observation. Alright. I also like one thing I also like about the V11 site is that there's actual pseudocode for the logic listed on the website itself.
Oh? I'm gonna have to look at that. I don't know if it was there when it was in the beta version. Or maybe I was just looking at the early beta version.
Oh, nice!
Multi-world is great.
Oh, nice! I actually got the chicken all the way through the wall.
I actually got the chicken stuck in the wall once, so I don't need to try anymore.
It's just fun to do.
It is fun. There was that one time where I had to reset the entire game, and...
Oh yeah, that's a one-frame thing.
Yeah, but I don't know how I did it, and
okay, I know what happens. I know exactly what happens.
Yeah, I know now, but
Oh,
never again.
Oh, you just didn't know back then.
Yeah. The first time, because I was like, I can throw this chicken through the wall, this is fun! And no.
No, I've soft-locked a couple of times, but I still do it. That's swag, man.
Hello, Ruby. I mean, just the streaming, I wasn't doing that for quite a while, and... It's very different doing something like this with a race.
But yeah, it's, I've done... I'd actually have to check how many races I've done of this. I want to say it's at least 40. I'm not gonna check now, but...
Nah.
But, like, after the race, I can tell you, like, how many I've done. I think it's around 40 to 50.
I've raced Omner a whole lot, and he's, about the same skill level as I am.
Why is he not in the tournament, then?
I don't know. I've asked him to join multiple times, and he's just not confident in himself.
He's good. Like, he's good. I mean, you two can't even co-op against me anymore because it's not fair. It used to be, but now you two have gotten so much better that it's not fair because you two have too much of an information advantage.
Right? Like, you against me here feels like a fair race now. Yeah, having somebody help me, it's just... I don't know if I would be comfortable doing that against some of the top runners. I think they would still win against the two of us. But it's randomizers, so that's hard to say.
Well, you also have a bigger advantage when you have two people scouring the world because
You don't get any of those hiccups. Because somebody finds the hiccup and the other person just goes and grabs the thing.
Exactly. Exactly. I think last year's tournament was a 2v2 tournament too. It's like in co-op you can have one person go to Link to the Past and one person go down to Vanilla Morph. You can have one person, like, after doing Cat, go to Dirty Agina, because I don't know if you saw the seed. For the last weekly, but it was so bad.
I did not. I want to try this weekly.
No, I meant the weekly seed for Monday's weekly.
Yeah, I didn't see it.
Oh my god, it was so bad. Like, I won't spoil it if you want to play it, but it was a freaking cesspool.
I don't think I want to play it. I'm interested in hearing about some of the highlights.
Okay, the gloves were... I'm trying to remember where the gloves were. Oh right, the gloves were in like Pendant Swamp and Agena.
Ah! I've had like a couple of seeds like that, and that was in a race?
That was in a 26-person race.
That is hot garbage.
11 and you know what the craziest part is? There were like 10 sub-3s.
Wow.
Because like all the people that got the sub-3s got the early glove.
Well, of course, that's going to just unlock the rest of the game.
Exactly. I'm a little suspicious of this. But yeah, it's there were other problems with that seed as well, but the biggest one was the gloves. I was on Restream for that race too.
That sounds fun.
And I wound up getting like a 311 or something. But there's a whole page on the SMZ3 V11 website that explains how just how the logic works.
That's actually pretty nice. I could probably go look at the actual logic. I was programming for quite a while, so understanding what goes on is easier, but
like all the like names that people use actually get defined in the game. Like can enter and leave gauntlet.
I actually think my favorite feature of the version 11 randomizer is that they have a reset button.
Oh yeah, LR. Oh yeah, LR start select is a hard reset.
Yeah. It's actually built into the game rather than having to reset your console or your emulator.
That seems like it's most effective for like emulator players.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm fortunate enough to be able to play on SD to SNES. Because before they came out with the Pro, Crixie had like they had their SD to SNESs 15% off, and since I didn't need the Pro for anything I did, I was like, $170 for an SD to SNES?
It's still kind of expensive, but it sounds like it's worthwhile.
Oh, it's the best $170 I've ever spent.
My roommate actually has a SD card, or not, a SNES that's got original controllers in both of the games here.
Yeah, I have. I'm actually still using one of my 2 controllers that came with the system.
Yeah,
but
they are really well constructed.
Yeah, that's also the reason why, like, when I need to buy a replacement controller, I'm gonna spend the like $25 to get a first party one. Cause I've bought some of those like $10 third-party knockoffs before. Like they have like the clickiest D-pads that just feel awful.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I cannot stand clicky D-pads.
I don't like clicky D-pads. Mine is getting a little bit clicky, but it wasn't that way to start with. I'm actually using a Buffalo controller.
Oh, and iBuffaloes are good. I'm just playing on a Super Nintendo, so I don't have a lot of choice.
Well, yeah.
But I definitely enjoyed Hyper Metroid. I just had only a couple complaints about it. One was Fantune, and two were for supers.
Yeah, actually started deconstructing the design behind Hyper Metroid, and it's a lot more linear than I expected it to be. Because I was told you could do pretty much anything you want, but unless you're willing to do some really weird stuff, you're gonna do things in the same order the first time, every time. And, like, the fifth time, it doesn't have that nice sequence breaking that the Super Metroid does.
Yeah, it's well designed for the most part. I just have issues with a couple of things, like Fantune especially. The fact that Fantune guards Varia in that game.
And Varia is in a weird place too.
I also have a slight problem with gravity location, but not as much as Varia.
And my problem with the gravity location is that you're going into water and you expect to find it down there. It's I mean,
yeah,
yes,
the Sula section itself isn't too bad. It's just the fact that you have to do a Sula section at all.
Yeah. Super Metroid does that a lot better by putting water up by the wrecked ship, and it's like, water is bad, don't touch it.
Yeah, Super Metroid is... That's why Super Metroid is like so well designed, is because it actually like actively teaches you... It teaches you how to play the game without holding your hand.
Right.
And games don't do that anymore.
Not only does it do that, it lets you break the game apart in ways that feel both intended and like you're cheating the game out of something.
Oh yeah, like when you learn how to wall jump. When you learn that wall jumping is something you can do, you can just break the hell out of the game with that.
Oh yeah.
I'm getting to the point where if I can get more solid with Suitless Meridia, I want to actually try like an RBO playthrough. Like I'm getting to the point.
There yet?
What?
I'm not quite there yet.
Like I think I've done in Randomizer. I've actually done Suitless Lower Norfair a couple times.
That's always fun.
I want to do it once during the tournament. Like, give me a seed where I can do Suitless Lower Norfair just to please the crowd. But the reason why I like this rando in particular so much is because of just the sheer complexity of the routing. Like out of all the randomizers I've watched, this one has some of the most complex routing.
Yeah, that's actually Omnir's favorite reason to play it too. I happen to like the experience of every time it feels a lot different.
Oh yeah, it's not like Link Link to the Past seeds feel really samey after you've done a couple hundred of them. Where you can kind of figure out patterns. Whereas this just the sample space is so much greater that you can do like 150 of these and still run into situations that you haven't before.
I know. And the higher skill level you get,
Whereas like once you get better at the game, you're willing to do stuff like hell run and whatnot. Like when you first start doing these, hell running is so scary. Wait, why did I do this? This was so stupid of me. Okay then.
It looks like my internet cut out for just a moment. Or maybe not. Like, both Twitch and the IRC went, "Hi, how you doing?" Whoopsie.
Boy. So I think based on what I have now, I think it makes sense to route this way. I don't think I have ever... Man, I have never done this before. Alright, okay.
This is a bit of a weird one, is all I'll say.
Yeah, I've tried to get into free enterprise, and I just can't get into free enterprise. I also didn't play FF4 that much growing up. I would say I've probably beaten like vanilla FF4 probably 3 or 4 times. But yeah.
I've beaten vanilla Final Fantasy IV once.
Like, I tried free enterprise and I just couldn't get into it. The only Final Fantasy randomizer that I play with any kind of regularity is the first one, like the Final Fantasy for NES. That game's got a good randomizer.
Yeah, I hear that's the best one.
It's one of the best ones. And the code updates that Edgeworth has made have made the game surprisingly forgiving.
I am not really a fan of randomizers for RPGs, because it feels like the intended progression is getting blown to smithereens.
The other randomizer, I guess I do one other RPG randomizer now. I do Earthbound.
Earthbound. I played Earthbound for about an hour. Is that one good?
Earthbound's randomizer is an ancient cave. It does, yeah. Alright. Nope. Darn.
One thing
I'm on the board!
What?
Nothing.
I feel like I'm not playing as well as I would if I wasn't doing something like this. Like, it's definitely nerves doing things, but...
No, well, this is the best place to get used to them, is like this instead of during a tournament race where like 600 people are watching you on speed gaming.
right?
I mean, I'm used to it. I've been on GDQ stage before, so like I know what it's like playing for a big audience. So that helps. I've also done like close to 600 races on SRL.
Yeah, that helps too. This is my first one, so
Yeah, you'll get used to it. Don't worry about it.
yeah. It's just you gotta start somewhere.
You do. How did that not hit the door cap? Alright.
Yep.
Oh wait, I have 2 of those now. That's... Oh, I know why. I know why that's the way it is. Yeah, I like how they repurposed the characters. Also, what am I doing? I really should not go in. I really should not go in there with, like, barely any energy.
I mean, isn't 2 energy fine?
Although admittedly, there are people. I ran into, like, back to the D-pad thing. I ran into, like, playing with a clicky D-pad because when I was doing the co-op with Stump, because a lot of Super Metroid players like clicky D-pads.
I would imagine it helps them with the feedback. Like, they can both feel and hear the controller doing things.
Well, that and because, like, if you get accidental diagonals on your D-pad, it like breaks spin, which is
Yeah.
That's one thing that's probably my favorite thing about Project Base is respin.
Oh yeah. It's one of my favorite things about Zero Mission. I think they
Yeah,
had it too.
Zero Mission and Fusion, I believe, both had respin.
Yeah. If there was one thing I would change about Super Metroid, it would be respin.
And even in Rando, there have been times when, like, I can't do simple things like use space jump. Because if your timing is off on one of them, you have to wall jump again to be able to...
Right. Although you can use space jump and the wall jump.
That's right, because in the GBA Metroids, once you get space jump, you can't wall jump anymore.
Right. Although space jump is better in those games.
Yeah, space jump. Well, yeah, space jump is broken in those games.
Yeah.
I haven't done. I don't have a way to do like GBA randos, so I haven't tried like Zero Mission rando or anything like that. But from what I've heard, Zero Mission rando is Power Grip Appreciation Simulator.
Yeah. I've watched a couple of races on that, and every time they go on for at least 10 minutes about power grip.
Just because, like, ledge grabs in that game are so important to... Because there's a lot of jumps that you just...
You're just a little too short for.
Because it's just, like, you miss by one tile.
It always feels a little weird going from, like, Super Metroid to Zero Mission, because Samus is 3 tiles tall in this game, and she's 2 tiles tall in the other game.
Yep. Like, and also there's just Samus's physics being... Oh, right. God, that's just impossible. This game is like, movement in this game is impossible. I've joked about that so much, but it's so true.
I don't think I can think of a game that has a lower skill floor for the movement and a higher skill ceiling.
Like, that's one of the reasons why this is a speed game is so popular, is because it's just because of how like how high the skill ceiling is for this game. Like, the skill ceiling is not reachable by humans. Like, nowhere close.
Maybe one human, but
No,
that's
isn't the like any percent tasks for Super Metroid like a 37?
something like that.
It's something silly.
And it keeps going down when more techniques are found. Also, this game is easy to watch. You can tell what's going on at any given time, even if you've never played the game before. Like, you won't have an idea of everything that's going on if you go from the middle somewhere. But from the start to the finish, you can understand what everything does and why it does what it does. That goes for A Link to the Past as well. That's why a lot of the older games...
God, I'm so tired of this. Ugh.
Sounds like you're having some fun over there.
There was a particular thing that was being stupid.
Ah.
Actually, that was a really dumb mistake of me, because that item was technically not even obtainable.
Do you have it? If you have it, then it was technically obtainable. Also, you probably shouldn't answer that question, because...
I'm not answering that question.
Yeah. I've been trying very hard not to talk about this, because I'm used to the banter back and forth with Omner, and this is different.
Yeah, it's a little different, but you'll get used to it.
Yeah. Sometimes we have races where we announce what item we're finding, and you can actually gain ideas where things are by... You found, like, the charge beam, and the ice beam, and the grapple beam all next to each other.
Yeah, that's something that you just can't do.
Right.
Wait a second. Route properly, Raikou. Like, play the game correctly, Raikou. Do you want Raikou, do you want Dio to farm you?
I'm actually having a good time here.
No, I mean, obviously I'm having fun, it's just...
Yeah, I mean, it is. This is some of the most fun I have in... I don't know. Why would I play this a few hundred times if I didn't...
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I enjoy rando of basically all kinds.
I find that I don't like some of the randomizers because the original experience of the game is good enough that it just should be enjoyed that way.
Like, original Legend of Zelda is one of my favorites for rando.
I didn't like that game much to begin with. I didn't play it when I was growing up though, so I don't have the nostalgia for it. And it's a bit obtuse too.
The randomizer for that game is so amazing. Have you seen the stuff that does to it? It's nuts.
Yeah, I've seen some of the stuff. I actually enjoy watching people because it gets really weird and it looks like it's a ton of fun. Just
it is.
Every time I personally play it, I can't get into it.
Like, I can understand why, especially if you're not used to, like, probably the biggest obstacle to getting into Z1 is just memorizing like memorizing where all the hidden caves are.
Right.
That's the biggest obstacle to getting into that one. But I would say if your average times for SMZ3 are in like the 3 teens, you're in pretty good shape.
I don't think I've had a time that was longer than. It got up to 4 hours once in the past 50 games, I think. I have actually played a lot of these.
The longest ones I've had recently have been like 340 or so.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Um,
And sometimes that's just down to the seed.
oh yeah. That was actually like a race I did with Stump, because he did his first race with me, and I rolled him this horrible pedestal seed. Where pendants were, I think, Eastern, Desert, and TR. And yeah, you had to get flips off pedestal, and it was hard required.
Ah, never mind. Well, anytime you have to get something that's hard required off the pedestal, it's just not going to be a good time.
Oh yeah, and Agate was required too, so it was logical all dungeons. Like
100%.
like oops all dungeons, if you've heard that term.
Yeah.
That's more of an Ocarina of Time thing.
Well, it's something that's reached out into the greater randomizer community.
Oh yeah, speaking of like SMZ3 stuff, if you look in the logic code, Total has actually laid the groundwork for key sanity.
Yes, let's go find a Zelda key in Meridia.
Well, the thing about that is that the boss keys, the keys that unlock the boss doors, those are included in the pool now too.
Oh no.
for key sanity. So like the Dragon key that opens up stuff like plasma, Total's been working on getting that in the item pool.
So, are we gonna have our first world record 8-hour seed with that?
I'm not really a fan of key sanity myself, but a lot of people like it. And speaking of other modes, for standalone Link to the Past, the only mode that I do for standalone Link to the Past now, is Dorando. If you haven't seen that, Dorando is amazing.
I tried a seed that I just put on the Nightmare difficulty on the Link to the Past randomizer, and never again.
No, not Nightmare difficulty. I'm talking like just door randomizer.
No, it had the door randomizer, it had the key sanity.
I'm not talking about keys. I'm just talking about like Open 7-7, but just with Dorando.
Okay, so is that a lot better than mixing everything up?
Yeah. Yeah. My first seed took me like 2.5. It was actually while it was still in closed beta. I got to play it at AGDQ, and Math Girl dealt me a boots locked Palace of Darkness.
Oh boy.
Which is only possible in Dorando. And this wasn't even with like the crisscross stuff. This wasn't even like crisscross. This was just like it's Dorando, but like every room is confined to the original dungeon it was in. It's not like some of the stuff that Andy does is just nuts. Like,
Door-rando, that actually sounds a lot better. Because when you were talking about door-rando, I was thinking doors go to random places everywhere.
no. You're thinking of entrance.
Yeah. So you
But-
get into a dungeon and you go somewhere in the dungeon?
Yes. Like you go into a door, and it takes you to another door in that dungeon.
But randomly.
Yes. So
That actually sounds
it
fun.
basically rearranges it basically you have the same rooms, but they're just randomly rearranged.
Can you end up going up through a room and then down through another entrance that way?
You can be forced to go like backwards through Gauntlet and Ganon's Tower or something like that.
Okay. But it's not gonna force you to like break your mind by like I went up through a door and now I'm coming down through the same door but in a different spot.
No, all the entrances are 1-to-1. Like all the doors rather. The doors are still 1-to-1. It's not like Insanity Entrance Randomizer where it decouples entrances and exits.
No, that's not what I was talking about. I'm like, if you go right through a door and then you come out on the right side in another room.
Like you'll come out if you go through a door on the right side of the screen, you'll come out on the left side of the screen, like through a right-facing door.
Okay.
So like the layouts make sense.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I just have this problem with the key sanity one. It's just that was way
Oh
too
right,
much.
I actually have this thing. I was like, game, I would like to move 1 pixel, please.
You just got arm pump. That's how that works, right?
No, unfortunately it doesn't work that way. That only moves you forward 1 pixel while you're already moving.
Oh, okay.
It's more just, I would like to actually move forward exactly 1 pixel.
That's a lot harder than you want it to be.
Oh yeah, it's hard in Link to the Past too. I'm used to it because of like screen scrolls from LOZ.
Yeah, it's something you can definitely get used to. It's just, it's never easy.
No, it's not. Because I don't know if you're like familiar with screen scrolls in Zelda 1, but it requires something similar because the technique that makes a screen scroll work involves doing a 1-frame tap. And I don't know if you've ever tried to do a 1-frame tap before, but it's kind of hard.
It is kind of hard.
Oh. This isn't... Oh wait, no, I can just farm here. The logic for this is pretty mind-boggling. Some of the stuff you can be made to do, like in hard mode. In hard mode, you can be expected to get to Crocomire through the lower Norfair portal.
I had the morph ball there once. I had to do a reverse lava dive with the space jump and without gravity. Go see Crocomire. That's not something you would ever even think about without the randomizer.
You can also have your first bombs down there.
Okay, that'd just be terrible. So I guess if the morph ball can be down there, your bombs can be down there too.
Well, the thing is with that it's significantly less complicated. Because if you don't have any bombs, then it expects you to access Crocomire through the lower Norfair portal.
Right?
And the only reason why Morph Ball can't be in Lore Norfair in the first place is because any object, like any location, has to have, like, you have to be able to enter and leave that location. Otherwise, there would be nothing stopping Morph Ball from being in Firefleet.
Could the Morph Ball be after the Gold Chorizo?
Oh, you mean like this, like gold, like GT Supers?
Yeah.
Yes, I've had it there once.
Ugh.
That was
Would it
also
be
that was also a seed that forced you to fight. That was a seed that forced you to fight Golden Chorizo with one energy tank and no charge beam.
Oh.
You had there were like 45 supers available, but still.
Okay. Did you have Varia and Gravity, or
Just Varia? Just Varia.
Ah. And that's worse than the seed I sent you before.
I think we might be talking about the same seed, actually.
Is it?
Yeah, I'm pretty
terrible.
sure you guys sent me that seed.
Yeah. That sounds. Yeah.
But in an SRL, in an SG restreamed race a while ago, I actually had it saved to a YouTube playlist, because I keep a playlist with all the races I've been restreamed in. There was a normal weekly where Mirror was there, and your Morph Ball was in Swamp Palace.
Ooh.
That seed sucked. There were so many forfeits, because what you had to do is you had to use Screw Attack to get, you had to use Screw Attack to break the bomb blocks, obviously, because that's your only way that you're actually going to get that item.
Yeah, I think you were telling me about that before. And
oh yeah, that seed was garbage.
Yeah. Using Screw Attack to break those blocks is a pain to begin with.
Oh yeah, it sucks.
It's much more of a pain if you don't have Space Jump. So you have to.
Oh, and you didn't. You didn't.
Yeah.
That seed was such a pain.
I want to comment on the one we're playing on.
We can't.
Yeah, right. Afterwards.
Yeah, it's definitely taken some interesting turns.
Yeah. This is definitely one I would send to Omner and tell him to play.
Yeah, it's... Alright, why can I not short charge all of a sudden?
I had practiced short charging, and I really need to practice that some more. I can't do it anymore. It's been a while.
There we go.
I see you've gotten over your, You were talking about being the fastest person in the tournament who couldn't short charge before.
Yeah, I used to be, but now I can do, like a 2? Not consistently, but I know how to do, like, a 2.
Yeah, that's what I can do, if I can pull it off.
I usually don't go for 2s. I'll do, like, a delayed run 1. That's usually good enough.
Yeah.
Like, the biggest thing that being able to do that for helps, is like checking Spiky Death Room with speed only.
Yeah. Or if you want to go fight Dragon and you don't have other things that would help.
Actually, I probably shouldn't have done that. This could wind up being really bad. Please be nice to me.
Is there a break where you can do chat? No? Maybe? I don't know. I usually interact with my chat a whole lot, but I'm a lot more focused this time than normal.
Damn it! Okay, I'm not doing that again. Yeah, we're gonna... Yeah. We're gonna do that later. You probably have an idea what just happened, and I'm not gonna confirm it, but... Yeah, don't try to confirm it either, but yeah.
Yeah.
It's so frustrating when that happens.
Like, I swear, there are so many things that I want to say about this, and just...
Yeah, you can't, because it's a race.
Right.
Huh! That sure would be nice to have right now. I wonder if maybe I should grab that anyway, just because of the issues I'm having right now.
So, in general, what are your favorite types of seeds?
I like the kinds of seeds that make you go back and forth across both games a lot. Like, those are really fun. Like, it really tests the limits of, like, what the routing can make you do.
I really like the seeds that have a ton of options. So if you wanted to replay it, you could do something different, and it might end up way different than it was before.
Well, I actually don't like those seeds. Well, they're fun to play, but I don't enjoy them for tournament settings. The reason why I don't like them for tournament setting, for just tournament races, is because it's just like who followed the correct lead.
Right.
The reason why is because there was a in last year's tournament, I was playing against Strizer for top 8, and it was a super open seed where there were over 200 locations available in 15 minutes, and I just, like, he stayed in Link to the Past, I went into Super Metroid, and Super Metroid was a wasteland.
Oh no.
Like, literally the only thing required to beat Super Metroid, or to beat the games that was in Super Metroid, was the Moon Pearl.
Wow, that's really bad.
So I full cleared Super Metroid and found nothing. And I lost that race by over an hour.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Like, Strizer got like a 229 on that seed.
That is really fast for any seed.
Yeah, the fastest seed I've done is like a 230 something.
The fastest seed I've done is a 247.
How many sub? Oh, right, I don't have that. How many sub hours have you gotten, by the way? I'm just curious.
Sub hour?
Or sub 3 hours. Sorry, sub 3.
Sub 4.
4 sub 3s? I've got 5. Sorry, I'm sorry. I was in the Zelda 1. I was in the Zelda 1 mindset.
Right.
Because sub-houring an 8 Triforce seed in Zelda 1 Rando is huge. Like, even if you get a seed that's quick, having the skill to be able to do that is just, it's tough. Have you watched any of this year's tournament?
I haven't.
So the tournament this spring, because every fall they have like a standard tournament that's like 8 Triforces, shapes, like the same flag set every year. That's like the standard racing flag set. And then they have a wacky tournament in the spring. The wacky tournament this year is random percent.
What is random percent?
So all of the checkboxes in the randomizer for the flags have 3 options: on, off, or randomly on or off.
Oh no.
So in the random percent setting, nearly all of the flags are set to randomly on or off.
Wacky is the perfect name for that.
So when you go into the seed, you have to figure out what's been randomized as you play.
Oh man,
So like if you start noticing like I found a bow and a boomerang in 1, and I found a wand in 6, you might infer that all the items are vanilla.
sounds reasonable.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. I followed the game enough that I could follow along with the tournament, and I just like it's interesting to watch sometimes, but it is not interesting to play for me.
I can see that. Like the seed that we had for the tournament, like one of the seeds that I had, we started with 6 Triforces. Because starting items also have a chance to be randomized as well. We started with 6 Triforces and a blue ring, and the combat still sucked. Honestly, that's probably the biggest thing that keeps people from getting into Zelda 1 Rando is the combat. Like, that game's combat is hard.
A lot of the NES games were overly hard because they had to be short because of the limitations of the cartridge, so they just amped up the difficulty to make the playtime longer.
Yep. And because the randomizer has no pretense of balancing difficulty,
this randomizer seems to have a good idea on how it wants to balance difficulty, but that just might be down to the design of the games to begin with.
Oh, that's rude. Okay then. And the first combo tournament that was like tournament logic, that was I entered that knowing that I might have to forfeit races because of lack of tech. And I got really lucky because I ended up calling a race. I'm trying to remember who it was, but in the first tournament, I was on the mic for a race that had Moon Pearl behind CWJ.
Oh no. Like, no bombs, no space jump, no grapple, just...
No speed.
No speed.
Like, you had to CWJ to get Moon Pearl. I know how to do CWJ, it just takes me about 5 to 7 minutes to get it.
I know how to do it in theory, and I've managed to do it once. It took half an hour.
There's a couple other things I need to learn how to do before the tournament as well. Like, they don't seem that difficult, I just need to learn them.
I feel like there's a lot of things in the game that don't seem that difficult after you get a certain level of skill.
Like Ice Palace Bomb Jump is one of them.
Yeah.
Like once you know how to do it, it's really easy. Like I really need to learn how to Harapot.
What's a Harapot?
What? Oh, have you never heard of Harapot?
I have not.
Okay, so Harapot is... You know that pot in that pot in Tower of Hera that you fall down to get to the fairies?
No, actually.
It's okay. Okay, so on the 5th floor, when you hit the switch that flips the pits around, there's a certain pit you can fall into that will take you down 4 floors to a secret room with 2 fairies in it.
Oh, that's cool. I was wondering where the fairy room was there.
You know, because you know, like, there's that warp tile destination that's on the 5th floor?
Yeah.
That's where the warp tile is it's like it's similar to the fairy room that's in Eastern Palace where you jump down the pot.
Okay.
There's a bomb jump that you can do that will push Link inside of that pot so you can jump down it.
Like from a lower floor?
Okay,
I'm gonna go look this up later.
Like on the second floor of Hera, like the entrance room.
So you can just skip most of the dungeon then.
What it lets you do is it lets you finish Hera without a fire source.
Yeah.
And it's tournament legal. It's considered a minor glitch.
Okay.
But yeah, there's a precise bomb jump you can do that will push you inside of the pot. And it's something that can be really helpful to learn.
I feel like the Super Metroid side is very technical, and the Legend of Zelda side is just a lot of small details of glitches that you have to learn.
In Link to the Past, the Link to the Past side is more about routing.
Yeah.
That's actually one of the reasons why I was a little bit hesitant to enter SMZ3. Because Super Metroid Randomizer is basically just, do you go up or down Red Tower?
Yeah, I've done that a couple of times, and I find the Varia Randomizer with its random settings to be a lot more interesting.
Yeah, the Varia is really good. I actually need to mess around with some of the more advanced modes on the Varia Randomizer, like entrance.
My favorite one was the regions. When you can have the wreck ship be attached to Lore Norfair.
Oh, Route Randomizer?
It kind of. What it did was, instead of having
Wait a second. Raikou, you moron. Raikou, you moron.
I'm going to ask you about that when we're done here.
If I can remember. Alright, Raikou, let's actually do this properly.
At this point, I feel like the nerves wore off, and I'm just in the groove for moving forward.
And this is the part where you just beat me. Clearly.
I am doing my best. I mean, if I'm going to beat you, it's because you made a mistake so large that you called yourself a moron. I'm still somewhat confident that you are better than I am at this point. But that's going to be really hard to say exactly until I start getting ranked.
Yeah, it's hard to quantify.
Right?
And a lot of what makes me good in in these kinds of environments with rando is because I tend to not take a lot of risks during my runs.
Okay,
so I know what I know what I can execute.
Yeah. Omner and I take completely opposite strategies. Like, he is a massive risk taker. He does things that are absolutely crazy, and like, I take the safe route like you do, and I don't know how he beats me sometimes because it is just.
So one thing that you have to be good at realizing when you're playing in a tournament setting is you need to be more willing to take risks if you know your opponent out executes you, because if both of you take the most obvious route, then the person that's got more skill is going to win. So
Right.
you need to put yourself in a position where if getting lucky is your only way of actually beating a more skilled opponent, then you need to put yourself in a position where you can take advantage of that. So if I'm up against, say, Asder or Maniacal or Solski or Apathy or one of those really good players, I might just, like, if I get access to ice, like Pendant Dice early, I'll rush Pendant Dice and just hope something is in there. Plays like that.
Yeah,
Or
you're trying to take advantage of the randomizer part of the tournament rather than the skill part.
exactly. Like, you need to set yourself up. Like, if you can put yourself in a position where you can take advantage of a trolley seed.
And just hope that it's actually a trolley seed.
Exactly. Like, that's what you start doing if you think you're behind. But playing from behind really isn't my playstyle. As I'm sure you've seen me like play many races. I'm just like super thorough.
Yeah. I happen to like the idea of win more. If I'm doing good, I'm going to do better, so I can do even better.
Like, one thing that artificial intelligence has taught us is that win more doesn't matter.
I mean, you're not. Some part of that, like, there's game theory that goes with that, and
I'm very, like, my strongest points are easily my routing. Like, have you ever noticed how just on point my routing always is?
yeah, you do good routing, and
like good routing and decent execution to back it up too. Like, I wouldn't say I have great execution, but my execution's at least decent.
I resemble that remark. I think we're the same type of playstyle when it comes to this game.
So like it would be a really good show if the two of us ever got paired.
Yeah. Even on a wide open seed, we might make the same kind of decisions, and I like playing the open type seeds, but sometimes they can be hard to follow if you're not into the game. Well, especially if you're not. And even if you are, it's like, I need to keep track of two different people doing completely different things. Where if there's a couple of choices, and those are substantive choices, and the two runners do two different things, then those are really fun to watch.
But like from a commentary perspective, it's really interesting to see two players do two players handling a wide open seed the same way. I think that's really interesting, watching two players think the same way.
Yeah.
But in Zelda 1, that doesn't happen too often. What's really funny is a while ago, I'm trying to remember like exactly when it was, but we had a mini tournament. We had a 10-person mini tournament that was a spoiler race.
Oh, those are hard to work with. Like, how much time would you get in advance to deal with the spoiler?
So what we did was we got the spoiler 10 minutes in advance of the race. So we got to review the spoiler for 10 minutes.
Okay. That's enough time to make a plan of action.
And then you had access to the spoiler for the rest of, like, for the duration of the race. You just you just had to do it while the clock was running.
Right. One of my favorite Link to the Past races was actually a spoiler race, and there were two people that were racing, and they would do... They had places that they needed to go. They had to go get the Moon Pearl. They had to go grab... they had to go fight Agina on that save. Or Aghanim, not Agina. But they both wanted a bottle at some point, and one of them decided to go just grab the easiest bottle. The other one went to do fake flippers so they could grab a bottle that had a green potion in it, or blue potion in it, and the other one had to grab the green potion. And by the time they were actually done, they ended up at exactly the same amount of time. No, it didn't matter which trick they actually did. And that happened multiple times. It was really interesting to watch where they diverged and came back together.
Hang on, give me a second.
I'm a moron.
I might be dead. Wait. What?
That sounds like a cry of frustration, if I ever heard one.
Oh my god. I just died.
Oh no. If it makes you feel any better, I've died during this too, and it's cost me some time.
Remember what I said? Remember what I said about making really big mistakes?
Yeah?
I mean, I guess this wasn't that big, but yeah. Hey, Omner. No, not just once, but like 2 or 3 times. 2 or 3 times, and that gives me no trouble whatsoever usually. That's the worst part.
3 frustration cries so far. Or at least you called yourself a moron once. There was a frustration cry, and there was something else.
Like, when you're in the tournament, you can't do this stuff. You just can't. You have to be absolutely on top of your game.
Yeah?
But really in this tournament, in this tournament, the top is so like relatively even that anybody can beat anybody except Aussie. No one's beating Aussie.
Is Aussie the best?
Aussie is rated like 250 points ahead of everybody else on the leaderboards.
Wow.
He wins so many weeklies. But he wins more weeklies than anybody else. Yeah, did you see how many times I failed that? I failed that like 3 times. That's completely unlike me. That's not even hard. That one I'll be able to tell you about afterwards, because that's what I'm gonna remember.
Yeah. I mean, you've been talking about it long enough that I actually looked at the time to see where I could go, because we can watch each other's videos afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah, depending on how good this race is, I might actually like capture both our feeds and put them on one video and do like a post-mortem restream if it's good.
Oh,
I've done that with Ancient Gamers races a couple times before where we've had good races.
that sounds fun.
Just overlay this call.
Yeah.
Overlay the call and overlay the call and overlay the call and one of the game audios on the screen, and then just have the other screen playing. And if you have a tracker, I can capture a tracker too.
I've got the tracker and the timer up on my screen.
Yeah, so that's perfect. All right, let's try this again and not die this time.
Do you ever feel like sometimes you go and try to make a decision and then the seed says you do something else, so you have to do the other thing?
Thank you. Jesus. I definitely have that feeling, and sorry I didn't reply right away. I was doing something I was doing something that was annoying.
I just assumed that if you're not replying right away, then you are doing something that is difficult or it gives away information.
Yeah, it was more the thing I was doing was difficult.
I feel like about a third of the seeds that I do, it's like, why am I doing it this way? I want to do it the other way. This way's faster. I have to do it this way. You're gonna die!
Okay, what do we have?
Yeah.
Oh, sweet! He fixed his tracker.
Oh? Wait, who fixed which tracker?
Dorkmaster fixed the tracker for SMZ3. There was a bug that I reported. Since it went on, basically since the tracker was on Emo Tracker period. And the bug I reported finally got fixed.
Ah.
I can't say what it is because that gives away a lot of information, but...
Right. I'll just ask afterwards. That's something you would remember.
Yeah, because I've been bugging these people to fix that.
I actually blocked Emo Tracker in Windows Firewall so it wouldn't ask for updates anymore. I just go with whatever version I've got.
Huh.
If I find a bug, then yeah, I might update. I might not.
No, it's not something that like prevents it from operating. It's just it's a logic thing.
The tracker that I'm talking about is Emo Tracker.
Wait. Why did I not turn this back on?
Emo Tracker is actually the tracker that is showing up on the screen here. And there's more than one person who makes different tracker parts for it. Like there's like 15 different games or something.
Oh, there's tons. There's
more?
I have like 10 installed.
Ah. I just have
I want to say there's like somewhere between 25 and 40 modules for Emo Tracker. Like, just think about how many randomizers are out there.
Okay, to be fair, I haven't updated it in about a year, so when I was looking at it, there was 12.
Yeah,
probably a lot more now.
there's like, I would guess probably closer to 40-ish now. Like, there's a Super Adventure Island 2 randomizer that actually looks pretty sweet.
What?
Yeah, there's a Super Adventure Island 2 randomizer.
I'm always surprised by the games that you can randomize, and not surprised because I think you can randomize pretty much anything. The trick is just making it fun.
Exactly, and that one's surprisingly good. Like just any sort of game that has like item-based progression. Like games that are open world and have item-based progression lend themselves well to randomization.
Yeah, and some of the RPGs do too. Some of them really don't.
Yeah, like Earthbound itself does not lend well to randomization, which is why the randomizer for that is an Ancient Cave. I don't know if you're familiar with the idea of an Ancient Cave randomizer.
I am not. Tell me about it.
Have you heard of the Ancient Cave in Lufia 2?
Yeah, I played Lufia 2.
Okay, do you remember the Ancient Cave?
A little bit.
The procedurally generated dungeon?
It was procedurally generated?
Yeah, Ancient Cave is procedurally generated.
Ah, okay.
It is actually the first. It is the first game to have procedurally generated. Well, not the first game, but the first console game to have procedurally generated content.
Ah, okay.
So what Earthbound?
Go ahead.
So what Earthbound's randomizer is it's an Ancient Cave. It takes all of the entrances in the game and shuffles them into a maze.
Okay. Okay, that makes a lot more sense than the nice crafted experience that Earthbound was.
So as you can tell, Omner, this is really fun, isn't it? What I'm about to do.
Must not give away information.
Alright, that should be enough. Alright. Just wanted to be a little safe. Alright. Yeah, just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's not what I wanted to happen.
Also, I have to say, thanks for racing with me on such short notice.
Now's not a good time. Thank you. Please go away. Yeah, as you can tell, that's pretty dangerous what I did. Actually, wait, I shouldn't need to do this because I have the other thing. Alright. That's done.
Oopsie.
It's not even like the race on short notice. It's more just like how late we were starting because we're gonna be up maybe well past midnight.
To be honest, I'm gonna be up until about 7 a.m. So I should have thought about that ahead of time.
Oh, you have other stuff going on after this too?
No, my sleep is just really weird. I sleep later each day.
Game, please.
Racing against somebody new is exciting. My heart is pumping, and I'm having a lot of fun with this. Regardless of how well I'm doing, I want to keep doing this.
Oh yeah, like it's fun doing races. That's why I try to play in the weeklies as much as I can.
And I'm gonna join the next weekly and try.
Yeah, the next weekly's tomorrow.
What time is that?
3 p.m. 3 p.m. Eastern, I think.
Maybe I
You
can
might
make up for that.
you might be asleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if you're staying up until 7 a.m., then you're gonna be asleep for that, most likely.
I'm staying up until 7 a.m. tonight. Tomorrow it'll be like 8 a.m. and yeah, it's just a really weird sleep schedule.
Oh, you must work a weird shift then.
I work 9 hours a week right now, and
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still doing 38, thankfully. I completely forgot about that. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's fine. This is something that's been going on most of my life anyway, so I just work around it as much as I can. It's a big part of why I was doing programming for a while. I could just do that at home anytime I wanted, and could spend 12 hours on it a day at random times of the day if I wanted.
Yeah, that's one of those things that's nice about having like something that's more like milestone based rather than time based.
Right? And the milestones I had was, I need to get something out every 2 weeks. How long you got to make it? 2 weeks.
Oh wait, I can do this very easily. I have this thing.
I feel like that is so generic that without any context, I couldn't pull any information out of it. I'm still hesitant to give any information at all out, though.
Hmm. That's another thing that's like that can be tough to get used to is like just tracking efficiently. Like when you're on the Super Metroid side, like it can be difficult to track between door transitions, for instance.
Right? So if we're just looking at the amount of skills required to run this game efficiently, you need to know where everything is on both sides. You also need to be able to focus on the screen and the tracker. And you need to be able to keep the execution up on everything that you're doing.
Yeah, it's not easy. It's a lot of fun, but it's not easy.
It's highly technical and requires a lot of esoteric knowledge and skills that are not easy to build up.
And even then, just like brain power, just putting everything together on the fly.
Right?
Especially if you start doing things out of logic like I do. Oh,
Yeah,
I tear logic apart.
Yeah, keeping track of things you're supposed to do and things you can do and things that you've already done is a whole nother level.
Because if you find an item that you're not supposed to have, then it can give you information about where other items are. Which is one of the reasons why I'm such a big fan of breaking logic.
On the practice seat I did, I actually logically put the glove at the last location down in the waterway in Pink Brinstar, because I ended up grabbing, what was it? I had Speed Booster, I had the hammer, and I had one glove, and I needed the other one to be able to finish the game, and I couldn't go anywhere else logically.
Hey, Omner, you want a tip real quick that will help you a surprising amount? Remembering that this save station exists. Like, this is a surprisingly useful save station that I see very few people use. Because you understand what I'm doing with this save station.
I think I know which save station that is. There's a particular one that is very, very useful that only gets used in rare circumstances, but is the best thing you can do.
Like, people don't use this enough, seriously.
Yeah. I could be wrong about which one that is. There's at least 3 that comes to mind for a good spot to use them.
Okay. Okay, sure. I can't prove my point, but okay.
I mean, sometimes you do things just in case, and other times you do things when you're trying to move forward and there's a possibility everything can go wrong.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Like, I'm a little disappointed to have to actually do it this way, but I'm pretty sure that this is going to be worth it. is... Like I said, movement in this game is impossible.
Have you played Super Metroid Impossible?
Don't remind me.
I tried it once. 15 minutes in, I gave up.
Yep. Yep, sounds about right.
Like, with all the practice under my belt, I could maybe try it again, but it looks like a pain in the butt all the way through.
Oh, I would rather... I was much better off just watching Oats and Goats play it.
Yeah. He played it at AGDQ.
He did, yeah. He submitted it to GDQ as a meme and didn't expect it to get accepted. So he had to play Super Metroid Impossible. I mean, granted, that run was hype as hell, but... That run was hype as... If you haven't watched it, it's nuts. I imagine you've probably seen it.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that he didn't die until Ridley is insane.
And then he went and died 6 times in a row.
Well, welcome to Ridley. He guards Varia. He guards Varia, and gravity is Varia locked.
Yeah. Oh no.
And it's really impressive how, like, the route that Saturn forces you to go has held up with all of the tech.
Wasn't it originally made so that way, like, they thought it was TAS only?
Yes, that's the reason why it was called Super Metroid Impossible, is because the creator, Saturn, said that it was impossible to complete the game in real time.
How many people have actually completed it in real time now?
2.
2. So, those people are robots?
One of them is Oats and Goats. Would you like to know who the other person is?
Yes.
Asder!
Of course! It's Asder.
And Asder actually has the record now.
Like, I imagine he's going to have that record for a very long time.
Well, especially considering that Oats is now focused on a new SM ROM hack, that being Super Metroid Kaizo Possible, because the original Super Metroid Kaizo was actually impossible to complete. So
the actual TAS only section in it?
No, it was actually impossible to complete.
But no, I saw a TAS run of the original one.
You're right, maybe. But yeah, there was a version of it that was modified so that a human could beat it, and Oats is running that now too because he's crazy.
He's also running a bunch of bad ROM hacks. Like,
yeah, he's playing every one-star. He's playing every single one-star rated ROM hack on Metroid Construction.
I wonder if he'll just eventually play them all.
When I get better at some of the stuff, I would also at some point I really need to sit down and actually play through Super Metroid Redesign. The one thing that has been keeping me from playing Redesign is the physics. Like, Samus is really heavy in that game, and the physics are like relatively real. They're like Castlevania physics.
I actually played through Redesign, but it was the Axial edition, which is like one of the first.
Which is like, it's like the original game. It's like Super Metroid Redesign, but with like the original physics, I think.
It's got the original physics, but it's also got wall jumps relegated to specific surfaces.
Well, that's how it was in Redesign as well. You had to have the wall jump boots to be able to wall jump, and you can only do wall jumps on certain surfaces. That's how it was in the original.
Oh, okay. I thought that was something that was added for the change.
No,
Maybe not.
no, that was part of redesign. And you have to have an item to do it too. Like there's actual wall jump boots.
I didn't 100% the redesign, but there are certain parts in there that are very obnoxious.
The other thing one of the other things I'm really not looking forward to is Ice Beam. Ice Beam is where a lot of people quit.
I didn't find the ice cream to be that bad. Actually.
Getting ice. I'm talking about the original. Like doing that with those physics is so hard. It's so hard.
Okay, so I should try the original redesign then.
If you can stand the physics, the physics for redesign are so obnoxious. Like, I wouldn't mind redesign so much if the physics weren't changed. Or if it was, like, actual zero-mission physics.
Yeah, zero-mission physics are great.
Like, they have the heaviness of redesign's physics, but without stuff like you can't change your momentum in midair like you can in... Like in redesign, like when you jump, hang on. Thank you. That should not be hard. But yeah, the biggest issue I have with redesign is just like the physics changes feel unnecessary.
Well, in the Axial Edition, Samus was a bit heavier, and you could only put out 3 bombs at a time, but it didn't feel obnoxious. It just felt like Samus moved a lot faster up and down. It was more like Zero Mission than it was like obnoxious. Yeah, I'm just gonna have to go give it a try later.
Take your time.
I do have to say I am doing one of my least favorite techniques in this whole game right now. Talk about obnoxious.
Fine game. Caught the door cap. What do I have left? I love doing this. This is so much fun. Aww. didn't get the one round. Okay.
One thing that I really like from the Link to the Past randomizer that I feel is missing here is you can add L and R to the Zelda side.
Oh, quick swap? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not allowed for races.
No?
Yeah, I like quick swap. But for Link to the Past, it's not allowed. Because their community feels that menuing is a skill.
What? No. You have to keep track of what's in your... Okay. I have very strong opinions about this, and that is not matching my opinions.
It doesn't match mine either. I think quick swap should be a thing.
Well, I just like to have the option while I'm running around and...
Exactly, like just especially if you don't have Pegasus boots.
Right? I'm walking over here. It's going to take me 15 seconds to go over there, or it's going to take me 16 seconds to open up the menu, and I've got nothing else to do anyway.
Exactly.
It's one of those features that feels like it should be part of the game.
It should.
It's just one of these early games where they didn't have all of the design features figured out that people would want. The Super Metroid control scheme is kind of weird, but you can get used to it.
Are you talking about, like, default controls for Super Metroid?
Yeah.
I can't stand default controls. But I also grew up playing nothing but, like platformers that have, like, run on Y. So that, if you're wondering why I have run on Y, that's why. Because I grew up playing, like, Super Mario World and Donkey Kong Country.
Oh yeah, I found Super Mario World to be strange as well. Not the least of which was, I had a Sega Genesis, and like C was the jump button, that was always on the right. And then if there was a run button, it would be B, and the shoot would be A, so it was 3 buttons in a row. So
Yeah, I never got...
to...
Yeah, I never got to play the Genesis, so I didn't really have to deal with the Genesis controller.
The Genesis controller has actually the best D-pad that I've ever used. It's nice and comfortable, and it was a little bit clicky, but not too much, and you just felt like you could move around with it very easily. The Super Nintendo one feels a little bit small and cramped and very plasticky.
Well, I don't know if you've ever held like a NES controller, but their D-pads feel even more plasticky.
Yeah, I have.
That's actually one of the biggest reasons why I do NES stuff on Wii Homebrew and use a Super Nintendo controller. Because I love the Super Nintendo controller to death.
My only complaint with the Super Nintendo controller is the lack of 2 L and R buttons. And a little bit of the D-pad.
The start and select buttons also wear out like very quickly on menu heavy games. Like if you play a lot of Link to the Past, your start button is gonna become a little bit like you have to press it kind of hard to get into the menus. But
yeah, I just imagine that when they were designing the controller, people didn't think that select would be an active button in the game.
It's usually not. Like, start and select are usually not active in games.
Right.
But, which is why my select button is fine. Like, my select button's fine, it's just because I've been playing so much Link to the Past.
Use the menu. Play Super Metroid and use the select button as your weapon select too.
Is weapon select select by default?
Yeah, it is. I actually like it over there rather than on X.
I think I have weapon cancel on select.
Yeah.
I have weapon select on.
Go ahead.
I have weapon select on A, I think.
Most people who do have weapon cancel, they put it on select if they change the controls. But I happen to like the weapon select one. It lets me use both of my hands sometimes, and the way that I hold a Super Nintendo controller changes a lot as I'm playing.
Well, the reason why I have that on select is because instead of something more active is because my left thumb is usually way too busy with the D-pad.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes I've got my pinky on like A and my index finger on select.
Like you're clawing it?
Not even that. I'm holding the thing in the left hand, and I've just got my whole hand over the right side of the pad.
Oh, so like overhand almost? That's weird.
Yeah, and I claw it. I do the overhand. I just naturally. Well, I always hold the left side with my fingers underneath the pad, but it's like the right side. What are you doing? What kind of control style do you have? All of them.
It's really interesting how Super Metroid can bring out so many different control styles.
Right.
And it was one of the first console games. It might have actually been the first console game to have remappable controls.
I think it was. No, a lot of Sega Genesis games had remappable controls because the controls in those, like, the 3 buttons are in a row. So I would put my index finger, my middle finger, and my ring finger over the 3 buttons, which is how it carries over to the Super Nintendo controller. But
if you grew up on a Genesis, that makes sense.
yeah. Because Genesis versus Master System or versus Super Nintendo,
that was
it's
a
like
big
remappable controls was a standard feature on Genesis games.
Yeah, where very few games on Super Nintendo had them, but it's so important that Super Metroid did just because of how like intense that game is.
Right?
Like Super Metroid is one of the most intense games on the console.
I feel like they had remappable controls because the developers couldn't agree on where the defaults and where they actually wanted to be it, so they're just like, let's change it however you want. Which is also why they had the other special settings.
Oh yeah, like speaking of special settings, I need to learn how to moonfall. That looks so cool.
Me too.
Moonfalling doesn't even seem that hard.
It's not a hard trick to do. The reason that a lot of people don't do it, from what I understand, is it's useful in a couple of areas, and it can really mess you up in some of the other areas, because you're like, it just makes it so you don't turn around, and turning around is what you want to do a lot of times. I also think it's because it's not on by default. A lot of people get tripped up on it because muscle memory.
I can see that.
A big part that people don't talk about is, I think it makes the Ridley fight easier, because you can just back up and keep firing at Ridley rather than turning around.
It does, yeah.
I'm gonna stick with what I know for now. But
You jerk! One away!
as interesting. I think after the tournament, I want to start putting the moonwalk on and see how that goes.
Alright, now how do I want to route the rest of this?
I am doing this completely wrong. Absolutely wrong.
Like, I think the way this tournament's gonna wind up is you're gonna have every group that has a high-tier runner, a mid-tier runner, a low-tier runner, and a wild card. Because let's be real, there are a fair number of like surprising players that just don't race on SRL, or they're just getting into the randomizer,
Right?
but have a lot of experience from like either one game or the other game, but haven't put together both. Like, like I came out of nowhere on the Super Metroid side, and I've gotten like to a reasonable skill.
Well, if you can just pull one game out and do well with it, you can focus on that. If you just do it enough times, you'll get good at the other one.
Exactly.
Repetition.
Exactly. That's what's happened with Metroid. Oh, wait. There's more things you have to do over here. Alright.
This is a different kind of banter than what I'm used to, and it's got its own merits.
It does.
It's actually kind of nice.
Although it's really when you get to like the 2:30-ish portion, or even the 2-hour portion, where it really starts to become nervous time in races.
Am I behind? My head.
Like how close is my opponent to go mode?
Right. Given what we know about the seed and what we can infer about the other person knows about the seed, makes the decisions a lot more difficult.
Yeah, those are just the hardest decisions you make. It's like, do I just rush dungeons? Do I rush dungeons? Do I just like do I try to do dense overworld checks and then like to try to go mode most of the dungeons?
Right. Those decisions are hard on a normal time. when you're trying to race somebody, it's even worse. You have to predict what the other person's going to do.
Like, that's why 1v1 races are my favorites. Because generally speaking, I start to get, during, like, 1v1 races, I start to get nervous if I'm not in go mode by, like, 2:15.
And that sounds about right for me, too.
Because really, like, about 2:15 is when you should expect, you should expect most good players will be in go mode. Like, generally speaking, if you can get into go mode in under 2 hours, you should feel good. And another big factor that can make you feel good or that can make you feel better or worse is like what your go mode item is.
The worst feeling is when the go mode item is something like a sword.
Like Ice Rod can be a pretty bad go mode item.
Yeah.
But something like something like Samaria. It can feel pretty good if your go mode item is Samaria.
Yeah. That one happens a lot more often than I would like to admit.
Like, it's a good feeling because, like, anything that has a huge search space can feel really bad.
Right. But Samaria gets you Turtle Rock and Misery Mire. Maybe the Ice Palace.
Yeah, Samaria can lock you up. Like, not having Samaria... Well, it's possible for Samaria to be an Ice Palace.
Yeah.
It's just, it's just logically... Like, the only place Samaria can't be on Ice Palace, is it just prevents Samaria from being on the boss. Because key logic.
I think the worst go mode item it had was the Titan's Mitt, and it was right next to the Power Glove that you had to go down into Lower Norfair to go up to Misery Mire that shed up on the top left. They were both there.
Oh my god. That's...
Yeah. Like, I didn't know how I was going to finish the game.
Like, double gloves in Mire Shed? That's awful. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna have to set up a new collection of seeds that are good or bad. I'm gonna have to find new ones that are terrible too.
Oh, just because you want to make me suffer.
Yes!
By playing just horrible seeds. Because it's always you two that send me these just god-awful seeds.
Well, we were actively looking for them for a while. The goal was to make the other person play a seed, and whoever got the fastest seed got to win. So you wanted to make the other person go slower, because they were playing your seed. So it's like... It was horrible. We would look through the spoiler just for the worst thing that you could possibly find, and a few of the seeds that I've sent you are some of those.
I can tell you've been vetting them for troll, because some of those are a little silly.
Yeah.
right. That's possible. But really, when it comes down to when you get to this point, it's really about just like routing efficiently and just hoping you get lucky.
Right?
I mean, it's randomizer. There's gonna be some amount of luck.
And you never know until you're done if it's going to be a fast seed or a slow seed or a troll seed.
Yeah, until you have everything you need, it could just be one of those like find everything quick, and then it takes you an hour and a half to find like the last thing you need.
There was one seed where I had everything but a sword to go to the end of the game, both sides, in 45 minutes. And then I didn't find a sword for 3 hours after that.
I think you told me about this one, where it reminds me of the seed that Stump and I did for NASA, where the first sword we found was on Ped. We couldn't get it. Like, we couldn't get it, and we knew it couldn't be the first sword because Skull Woods was a pendant, but the first sword we actually found was on Ped. The intended first sword you had to do a hell run to Bubble Mountain to get.
Oh, that sounds horrible.
Because it was hard. Because there hadn't been a showcase of hard mode yet. There had been several showcases of normal. I mean, Stump also died like way too much, and that was only part of it. It's just the seed was just god awful. I don't know if you remember that one, but it was horrible.
I remember hearing stories about this.
It was Varia in Chain Chomp Room, and Fire Rod was behind it. That was the big thing that held us up. And you want to know where the fire? Okay, so the chain at the end was Varia in Chain Chomp Room, to Pegasus Boots in Lore Norfair, to Grapple Beam at Bonk Rocks, to Fire Rod at Shack Tool. Yeah.
What the heck?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it was so bad.
It's gotta be bad enough if you remember the whole chain. That actually sounds terrible.
Well, you have to go into Turtle Rock without Fire Rod. That's something, like, you never do. Because if you don't have a Fire Rod, you can get blocked at any chest.
The worst one I had was I had to go into Turtle Rock. I also didn't have the Fire Rod. If the bow was up in there, then I had to go back in the pod to get the Fire Rod, so I could go finish Turtle Rock.
So that's a double... Is that a double dip both pod and TR?
Yeah, because later on in Turtle Rock was the hammer.
Was this an entrance rando? Because Hammer can't be in Turtle Rock.
No, okay. It was something
like
else
Hammer,
like that.
Hammer can be in Turtle Rock in like entrance rando.
Yeah, I'm remembering it wrong. It's something else that was in there that required the double dip. You couldn't finish pod without the thing. What was it?
But either way, like having the double dip both pod and Turtle Rock is just gross.
Yeah.
Like anytime you have to double dip Turtle Rock is just
No,
awful.
it was a lamp.
It was what?
I could have finished it, but you know.
Oh, it was lamp?
The lamp? It was the lamp.
Oh, and you just didn't know dark rooms back then?
Yeah.
Ah, that makes a ton of sense, actually.
That was relatively early on in the lifespan of the thing. You know what? I think the ice rod was further on in pod. Yeah, because there was a reason I had to go back twice. I couldn't finish Turtle Rock, even though I could get almost to the end. And you needed the red cane to get up in there. No, it was really bad.
Just no.
Those two were the last dungeons in the game, too. I had finished every other one, trying to look for any of the things that would let me finish either dungeons.
Nice meme. Nice meme game.
I've actually done enough of these that they're starting to run together.
Oh, right, I can't do this. Because I don't have, I was looking at the wrong side. If they're here, though, this is so trolly. I mean, there's a lot of really bad locations left that this thing could be.
Doing my best over here, and I'm more confident in my skills than I am in this seed right now. Oh no.
What I've left. I would really like to not have to make this decision, please.
I resemble that remark. Just... Like, I really, really want to talk about the seed, because it is an interesting seed.
Yeah, this has definitely been an interesting seed.
This is definitely worth posting in the Discord.
Well, how much it's worth posting in Discord depends on, like, it's gonna depend on one thing in particular that I don't want to discuss until we're done.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, we're gonna check this first. I'm gonna be pretty upset if it winds up being in there again. Because I've just been ruined by that so much.
Oh, wait a minute. Okay.
Do. some other routes I really need to be conscientious of. But I think the play after this, as much as I don't like it... I don't think I can put this off any longer. It's like Family Feud, practically.
What do you mean?
The closer it gets.
Closer. Okay. The closer it gets, the more points the last question answered is worth. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just the closer you get to go mode, the more tense it gets.
Yeah, I know that feeling. You were talking about how around 2 hours and 30 minutes, you start getting nervous, things start ramping up. I definitely feel that.
Like, especially when you get to 2:30, just not... Like, is my opponent in go mode?
Right?
Especially, like, it's almost worse, like, just knowing what kinds of times your opponent puts up. Typically. Like, what kind of typical time your opponents put up. There's another spot that's friggin' staring at me right now.
I'm of the opinion that there are games that exist, and because they're games, all of them can be mathematically solved in one way or another. That's not to say that people are actually going to solve them, but like there is some solution that is the correct solution for what you're doing. And a lot of the fun in the randomizer is trying to figure out what that solution is.
Exactly, like SMZ3 in particular is just so mathematically complex. And that gets back to the reason why I'm so addicted to this particular randomizer, is just the complexity of decision trees it's staggering.
Right?
Like it's staggering how complex the decisions are.
And just from the way the games play, you wouldn't think that those decisions would be that complicated. But no, it just gets worse and worse as time goes on. The better you get, the harder the decisions get.
Okay, I'm happy to see that.
Nice. Yeah, the nerves are definitely coming back, but in a different way.
Alright, well, we'll do this, and then I have a big decision to make.
There's a phrase that stuck with me throughout this whole speedrunning experience, and it was for something else entirely. It's amateurs do something until they get it right. Professionals do something until they can't do it wrong. It feels like that's some kind of noble goal to work towards, and I don't know if it's ever obtainable in this format.
It's not. It's not. We can get damn close, but... And that's just the beauty of games of imperfect information. I love games of imperfect information. And being able to turn, like, video games I've known and loved for years and years and years into games of imperfect information.
I mean, that's a big reason I like Metroidvania games to begin with. Each time
All right,
you move on,
this should have been done earlier. This definitely should have been done earlier. Like, before that. So, yay, inefficient routing!
Oh. Huh. Okay. Oh no. Okay. I just had horrible realization that I don't wish to share what it is.
I have an idea what it might be, because I wonder if we're coming to the same conclusion.
I hope not. I genuinely hope not. I also hope that I'm wrong, but I keep trying, you keep going.
It's just how much do I want to do before I make this decision? Let's get this out of the way now. I mean, I guess I can do that and then do, God, routing is impossible. But that's why we play this, is because, like, routing this is so hard. Oh, I have this thing and I didn't mark it.
I actually find the seeds that are rather linear to be boring. Like, it's good for practice, but it's not as fun as it could be.
Overly linear seeds also tend to be difficult to complete.
Right? Because they usually have some kind of skill gate baked into them, particularly early on.
Yep. Like, I've played one seed that had forced swordless cold stare.
There was a seed I played that wasn't forced. In fact, I was racing Omner and he had a nice red sword where I didn't have anything at all.
You had Fire Rod, but still.
Yeah. That was fun.
I've also seen, like, I've also had to do Fighter Sword Cold Stare with no fire, or, like Fighter Sword / Hammer Cold Stare with no Fire Rod before.
Actually, that race, I didn't have the Fire Rod or the Fighter Sword. I think you can damage it with the Ice Rod.
No, you can't. No, you can't damage Cold Stare with the Ice Rod.
No, what did I do with him then? I don't know. I didn't have a sword, and that was the important part. And Omner did, so he walked in, killed him, walked out. And I was sitting there for like 5 minutes trying to figure out what I could do.
Wait, what? Wait, what? Like, you went through, like, that much of that seed and didn't find supers?
No, I didn't have a...
No, Omner is mentioning something about, like, not being able to complete the game because he didn't have supers.
Oh yeah, there was a particular one where there was supers in one spot, and they unlocked every other super. And well, you could break the logic and go get supers.
Oh, like, did you not have enough ammo for bosses was the issue?
You couldn't unlock doors.
Like, regular missiles? What?
Now, he had regular missiles, but not the green ones.
That's what I meant, like, not having supers.
Yeah. I think he spent an hour looking for his first super missile.
Alright. Just... God, I hate this check so much. like ammo mode basically. Like you need charger ammo for Ridley. Yeah, I've had that happen, but only in like standalone SM randomizer. All right, I've got to make this tough decision.
There's been a couple of times where I wanted to go down to Ridley particularly early, and the only thing stopping me was ammo or charge beam. And a couple of times I've gone down there anyway, just hoping I would find some missiles. And...
Oh, you should see some of the Ridley. I have like no less than 4 different like low resource Ridley fights in my highlights.
I'm gonna take a look later.
Including one from the SM Rat tournament this year, where I went down to Ridley's Lair on Varia and 3.
What?
Yeah, Varia and 3.
Well, I guess you like pain.
It was extremely reckless. I will not deny that. It was incredibly reckless, but I went down to Ridley with Varia and 3.
Did it pay off?
It was efficient.
So, yes.
About time something went smoothly.
Oh well.
Oh yeah. Another thing you might want to be aware of is that the crowd likes it when you express rage. And by that I mean like you find a really trolly item and then just bomb the chest. They love that. Like there was a time when I fired like 15 super missiles at a mirror. Because I think there was a restream brace when I fired 15 super missiles into a mirror because mirror was at Ocean and I didn't want to go to Wrecked Ship. Like there were reasons I didn't want to go to Wrecked Ship.
Where is Ocean? I've got a good handle.
It's past the moat. It's past the moat.
Okay.
The item in the bottom of the sea.
Okay. Umner and I have been calling that the sunken treasure.
Yeah, that's called the ocean missile.
Okay. Kind of small to be an ocean, but we'll go with it.
Well, the reason why it's called that is because a trick called Ocean Fly.
Ah. Yeah. The more I do this,
I don't know if you're familiar with like Super Metroid speedrunning tech.
I'm much more familiar with Super Metroid speedrunning tech than the Link to the Past.
Okay, so do you know the trick called Ocean Fly?
That's not one I've heard of.
Okay, so what you do for Ocean Fly is you set up like you would Shine Spark over the moat, but you fire a super missile at the right time to open the door so that Samus can continue the Shine Spark through the door transition on the other side of the moat and fly all the way across the screen to get to Wreck Ship.
Is that what that's called?
Yeah, it's extremely hard.
Yeah, I tried it once. We'll try again sometime in the future.
Yeah, it's extremely hard. Because you have to time the super missile so that the super missile doesn't despawn, but Samus is but the door cap also has to be like fully open before Samus hits it, otherwise Samus is gonna hit the door cap.
Right. Is it frame perfect?
No, it's close though. CWJ is frame perfect though.
1 frame and then 2 frames.
It's 2 and 1.
Is it 2 and 1? I thought it
Yeah.
was the other.
The first jump is 2. The actual wall jump part is the actual wall jump part is frame perfect.
Okay. That would explain why I'm not able to get it, but I can get the first jump.
Yeah, it's a little bit more. The first jump is slightly more lenient. Like I can do it, it just takes me about 5 minutes.
Okay.
Oh, right. Raikou, you idiot!
I resemble that remark. I'll just tell you afterwards, okay?
No, it's
I
more just I'm trying to think who that is named after in the community, trying to open a big door without the big key.
I've done
Something
that a
is
couple times.
missing.
Yeah. Okay.
When you don't have it's just not having the big key. At this point, I would not be surprised if we were looking for the same thing.
Well, unless you made the same mistake that I did. 'Cause I made a really big mistake. The weird thing about randomizing is sometimes mistakes, like,
Can be a
mistakes
blessing,
always
yeah.
cost you something, but sometimes the mistakes have negative costs. I have no way to actually account for that. I've tried doing the math in my head multiple times, and just the problem is fuzzy and incomplete every time you do it until you get done. And we can only apply best practices to what we're doing here.
Kane, don't make me have to make this decision. I don't want to make this decision. Like, this is probably the wrong decision.
Omner does things that I consider the wrong decision a lot of times, and somehow he ends up ahead of me. I don't understand it. But it works for him, so he keeps doing it.
Typical. I'm gonna be so upset if it's been here the whole time, because this has been available for so long. That's like the worst feeling, is when the thing you're looking for has been available for like 2 hours.
Okay, so I'm not gonna say anything. Really not gonna say anything. Oh.
Alright, we've put this off long enough. This is a slight routing. This is a slight routing error, but it shouldn't actually cost me that much time. Shouldn't be an issue. That's been checked already. Okay. Alright, this should be far easier now. Oh, now you give me this pattern. Thanks.
It's friendly.
Alright. See, and if Total would just take my suggestion... if Total would just take my suggestion, then the situation that I'm in right now wouldn't be an issue.
How much is Total involved with the Link to the Past, the crossover randomizer?
Total is the developer.
I thought Total was just doing the Super Metroid one, and then
No,
somebody else was doing that.
No, he's specifically the combo rando dev.
Okay. I've got it backwards then.
Yeah, Total is the actual dev for combo.
Okay. Did he do one of the other randomizers?
Oh my god!
Did Total make a Super Metroid randomizer?
He was one of the devs for SMR, yeah.
Yeah. That would explain why there's more than one now.
Fucking for real. Well, I think I lost.
Wouldn't be so sure about that.
Like, I'm pretty sure I lost.
Well, we won't know until the end, at least.
Yeah, that's one thing about this is, like, the only piece of information that you get is when it's too late.
Right?
And just any randomizer. That's actually one of my favorite aspects of racing, is that, like, you don't know where your opponent is until it's too late. So you have to make those decisions. And it's harder if you've never, like, raced against or watched the person that you're racing against play. A lot of the people I know how they play just based on, like, weeklies and whatnot, but
So you're saying it's harder because I haven't really done this before, at least what you've seen?
yeah, I haven't really watched you play. So I don't...
Honestly, I've only played twice. I played once in the past week, and this is the second time I'm actually streaming this, so...
You have a lot of experience, though.
I do. Doing my best here. I didn't actually want to stream for quite a while because before Amazon bought Twitch, getting to be a Twitch partner was something I was working very hard on, and like there were people who had less daily viewers than I did, and they had sub buttons, and I don't know, the grind just got to me, and I couldn't spend as much time as I actually wanted to stream.
Yeah, I don't care about partner.
I would say I don't care, but after I came back after a couple of years, it's like I get a sub button. It's fine.
Oh, you have a sub button? Like
Dude.
that's oh right, because the affiliate program.
Yeah.
And especially now that like you have most of the you get most of the benefits that partners do.
Right.
Now. It didn't used to be that way. Like when it first launched, literally the only benefit that you got for being like the affiliate level was like subs and bits. And you got one emote. Now you get up to 5.
I haven't actually looked at my emotes. It's like I started streaming this week, so. Well, I mean, again. So I'll have to actually start setting things up properly.
Yeah, I would have to start streaming like more than once or twice a week again, and I'm involved with like way too much stuff now to do that.
Yeah. The guidelines say you're supposed to stream 3 times a week and have at least 100 followers.
That must have changed then, because when I got it, the requirements were like you had to stream like 12 different days a month, and then you had to have 50 followers, and like average concurrent viewers 3+.
I could be wrong. The last time I looked at it was a while ago.
Please.
Ah.
I still think I'm in deep doo-doo.
Well, I'm doing my best here, and that's all I can say.
Yep.
At this point, I wouldn't be surprised if you were ahead of me.
It's just silly how like both people in a race can think they're behind.
Right? I definitely feel behind. I also feel like I'm doing okay, which is definitely contradictory in a lot of weird ways.
This also feels super weird too. I'm also kind of excited for like NASA 2020 NASA 2020, even though it's online this year instead of in person. This is the first year we're having a charity. It's an up-and-coming speedrun marathon that I've been in-person speedrun marathon that I've been involved in almost every year. It's just this is the first year that it's going to be online because of the COVID thing.
SARS-CoV-2, coronavirus, the Wuhan virus. Does it have any other names?
Names I would rather not mention.
And those are the names that I see in the news.
Yeah, I know. Bible thump.
Haha. That almost went pretty bad.
Alright, this is gonna be kind of weird.
Oh. I'm guessing it's something about the race or what you're doing over there.
Yeah. I screwed that up real bad.
It has just occurred to me that I don't actually know how to end the race on SRL.
When you finish, you type .done.
Okay.
I told you that.
Yeah, but there's a lot of different things to keep track of here, and
Well, besides just the seed, but yeah.
yeah,
Wait, what am I doing? I'm already here.
you gotta do the thing with the thing.
Oh, right. I should probably click that.
I'm always kind of bad at keeping up on my tracker.
Alright.
I grabbed some water at the beginning of this, and I haven't even touched it.
I've had a few sips of mine. But after our post race discussion, I am gonna have to go to sleep because I'm planning on doing a multi-world with Stump.
Right.
He is learning. He's learning. Like he's a Super Metroid speedrunner that learned Link to the Past to do the combo.
Ah. I mean, that's
And
how I did it. But
and
yeah.
right now his times are in like the mid 4s, so we need to work on getting his time down. But he's getting better. I think he did a seed earlier where he got in the 3s. We're trying to have a two-person multi-world for NASA Marathon, and the estimate I want to submit is 4:30. We have until the end of the month to like get a submission video. I mean, well, I'm also just a little bit more nervous because for you, it's just a race to establish rank. For me, if I don't win this race, I probably fall out of top quartile, which heavily affects my seeding for the tournament.
Right? How far would you actually fall if you lost here?
Don't worry about it.
Okay. Just I wanted to race against you because we've talked in the past, and I know you best of anybody to race randomly.
Yeah, just don't worry about it.
Okay.
If you win, you win.
Okay.
I mean, you'll get a lot of points racing me anyway, just because I'm a pretty high rank.
So how do the points work?
There's a. It's like loosely based off of ELO.
Okay. My understanding of ELO is the higher a person you compete against, the more points there are at stake. And it's mostly their points.
It's a little different, but it's somewhat based off of ELO. Like you'll get points just for racing against me. Because you're unranked, and this is your first combo race.
Right.
But yeah, I just highly recommend that you play in the weekly. So I'm gonna have to do either Stump and I are gonna have to start our multi-world early, or well, no, yeah, I'm gonna have to tell him. I'm gonna have to tell him we might have to do the multi. We might have to do the multi another day because this is the last weekly before rankings. A lot of it's gonna depend on like if I have to race tomorrow to preserve my ranking.
Right.
And like if they can get that other race recorded in time, because I want to know how the last race I did affected my rating, because that'll tell me whether it's a good idea for me to race or not.
I mean, isn't it a good idea to do more races anyway?
I mean, there is rating decay, but it's insignificant.
Okay.
Especially. It's insignificant, especially with like the number of races that are going on.
So it would be more significant if there was a lot less races. Okay.
At least I think I understand how the rating decay system works. I'm not 100%.
I'll have to go look into it later.
It's just right now I'm at like the bottom of the top quartile.
Is
So
the top percentile the top 10 or 25%?
top quartile.
Quartile, yeah. Okay, so 25%.
Yeah, right now there are 80 people in the tournament, and I'm ranked number 18 on the SRL leaderboards.
Ah.
So like, if I fall too much, I could get knocked out. I could get knocked out of top quartile.
Apologies if I, I don't know.
Like I said, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Like I said, don't worry about it. I feel like I routed like shit towards the end, so...
I definitely made some mistakes in this one. I don't know if it's just being nervous. Sometimes there are mistakes that I would make more than once, and sometimes it's not. Like in the practice one I did a few days ago, I was just highly distracted by the chat, and I made at least 15 different mistakes that I wouldn't normally.
Oh, back when I used to do regular speedruns, I definitely remember losing like losing PB pace runs in like Donkey Kong Country games because I like took a death due to getting distracted by chat. So I definitely know how it is. I actually don't want that, because that'll mess up the rest of this. But out of the two, Link to the Past is definitely my better game. I'm just a lot better at the, like, Link to the Past execution.
I'm better at the Super Metroid, which is somewhat unfortunate when about a third of the combo here is the Super Metroid side.
Super Metroid movement makes up... Super Metroid movement's more important, though, in terms of, like, how much time savings.
Yeah.
Like, if your Super Metroid movement's good, you're gonna save a ton of time.
Like, the first time I played Super Metroid, I think I spent 20 hours. I could have spent a fair bit less time than that, but I was dissecting the game and its design and just testing everything. Blowing up every single block with bombs.
I mean, that's what you're supposed to do your first time through the game. Super Metroid is an exploration-based game.
Yeah.
That's what you're supposed to do.
Did you know you can go down to Lower Norfair without having access to it 3 separate times? After you get power bombs, after you get the space jump, and after you get something else. I didn't have each of those items each time I went down there. And there was this cool face that I just really wanted to go into. And now people are just beating the whole game in under an hour.
Yeah, I haven't beaten Super Metroid in under an hour yet. Right now I have a 106.
I do think I just want to try a bunch of different categories to see how I actually do. Even if I do horribly, I'm like, hey, I beat it in 3 hours. That's fine.
Yeah, like I've been saying, I want to try to complete RBO. Like, if I'm not good enough to complete RBO yet, I'm getting close. And I'm not talking about with, like, the actual route. because there's like a particular there's like a couple extra energy tanks you can get that are like prohibitively far out of the way for a speedrun to get.
Yeah, just being able to do it at all is...
Exactly, like, it's incredibly hard.
Yeah. I don't know if I could do it. I really should give it a try.
Yeah, it's until you get to like the first suitless Meridia section, it's not too bad.
Yeah.
Like the first Telrun isn't too bad. But once you get to the first suitless section, it gets really bad. Because the first suitless section is just getting all the ammo and energy that you can before you have to go into Lower Norfair.
Right.
I think when you go into Lower Norfair, you can have something like 9 tanks.
You can also have a bunch of reserve tanks. That
Yeah.
actually makes it interesting.
I just finished.
What? Really?
Yeah.
So did I!
You're not that done.
I'm now... Wait, I got booted out of the channel somehow. How do I...
You need to rejoin.
There we go.
Wait, seriously? You just...
Seriously!
What the fuck?
You finished like 2 seconds before I did.
Wow, I am definitely putting this on YouTube now if it was that close.
Oh, man.
Wow. GG, man.
Oh. So, I didn't have the Titan's mitt. It was down in Green Brinstar. I went through all the dungeons.
Oh! That glove in Green Brinstar was your Titan's mitt?
Yes, and that was my go mode.
My go mode was Titan's mitts and wreck ship. So we were both looking for the glove at the end. It was just we were looking for a different glove. Wow.
And I just skipped that blue to green Brinstar loop because I'm like, I'm gonna come back later. After I went and got the Gari suit and the gravity suit and went through Meridia up to the wrecked ship, grabbed all the stuff in there. And I was like, I could go to the Link to the Past. I only transitioned a couple of times.
Same, but yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna actually have to go back and, like, I'm definitely uploading this one because that one was crazy close. I actually beat Super Metroid first.
So did I. After Super Metroid was done, I only had the Ice Palace and Ganon's Tower.
This will be really interesting to watch back because, like, what was your time on your timer, if I may ask?
3 hours, 9 minutes, 53 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah, so a 4-second difference.
Right.
That's insane.
Okay, so, well, you won. I'm not knocking you out of the rankings so much, and I actually feel really good about that.
Like, that's crazy. So I actually was go mode. I was go mode minus mitts. After killing Dragon, and then I full cleared. And I was 1 item away from go mode. And my policy, when I'm 1 item away from go mode, and I haven't done wreck ship yet, is to try to skip wreck ship, because wreck ship is such a time sink to clear, and it's not that much stuff. So
Yeah.
I full cleared Skullwoods, I full cleared Thieves Town, I full cleared Swamp Palace, I full cleared Mire. I went to Spike Cave.
I didn't go to Spike Cave.
It was a 20. Oh, so the first big thing that happened that I made that groan about, you might be wondering what that was.
Yeah.
I died to Toon.
Ah. Well,
I died to Fantoon, which would have given me Titan's Mitts early.
yeah.
That's why I was
That
so upset. I shot like 9 super missiles at that Titan's Mitt, and it almost wound up costing me the raise.
Oh man. See,
Like, I actually unloaded a bunch of supers into those mitts when I found them.
that's when you were talking about the rage.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I was super upset when I found the Titan's Mitts.
I had plasma beam, I had the X-ray scope, and I had charge beam, so I just microwaved him and was done with it.
Yeah, I microwaved him when I came back, but yeah, I went to wreck ship early.
Yeah, so did I. Like, after I got the Morph Ball, it's like, go do Bubble Mountain, jump into Meridio, and there's a nice route from there up into the wreck ship.
That's... No, I went to wreck ship. I actually went to wreck ship before going to Norfair. Like, okay, so the way I routed was, when I got into Metroid... Well, I also went into Metroid and went to Big Pink without Morph.
Yeah, I went there with the speed booster really early.
Yeah, I went there with... That's what I did, and then eventually when I found Morph at High Jumpy Tank, I actually went up, killed Kraid, went back to Link to the Past, did the Death Mountain stuff, then went back into Metroid Hard Reset to my ship, did the Bryn Loop, went up Red Tower, and then saved at my ship, then went to Fantoon and died to him. And I never went back to wreck ship until I had cleared basically everything in Link to the Past.
Oh no. Yeah, I did something similar, except like
You must have isolated like Edakun area then.
Yeah. I isolated. I just completely skipped Blue Brinstar, Green Brinstar, and Pink Brinstar.
You tried to Bryn skip?
I didn't intentionally do it. That's why I was complaining towards the end. I was like, I made a horrible mistake here. And it just worked out that I did part of Super Metroid, went back to Link to the Past, did all of that, and
then you went back there. Yeah, I did the same thing with wreck ship. But I had a reason to put off wreck ship, because by the time I had got around to doing the Link to the Past stuff, I was 1 item from go mode. And it's much more like, and I still had, I think I still had East Death Mountain to do, as well as all the, like, Dark World stuff at the time. Did you lava dive?
I
also died trying to do lava dive.
Okay, so I actually went directly from... I picked up the Varia suit somewhere and went to the past, I don't remember. But I went over the Bubble Mountain first, and there was the gravity suit, so I just went down and...
Oh yeah, Varia was in Sahasrala's hut. I put that off for a while too. Sahasrala's hut was one of my last Light World checks.
I ended up putting off Ridley because I wanted to do Bubble Mountain and go up, and then I went down later. Because
Lower Norfair was empty.
It was.
But I did a lava dive to go down because I wanted in. I originally went down there because I wanted intel on the. I wanted intel on the Meyer medallion, which I only think going to Meyer from going from Meyer to Norfair. That's the thing I commented on, is is in the tracker for normal specifically. If you have out of logic access to Meyer or to Dark World via going through Meridia, the tracker in the previous versions did not mark those squares as yellow. They stayed as red. But
That's updated. Mine
but
still does that.
but now it has been updated so that out of logic access to Meyer and out of logic access to Dark World via the Metroid portals is now accounted for.
Okay.
So that's what I got so excited about, saying that they skipped that. How early did you go to Croc?
I went to Croc after going to the wrecked ship.
Oh, I went after like my very first trip down to Norfair, before even going down to Ridley's Lair. Like when I got Morph Ball, I did the rest of High Jump Cave, then went up to Crade, did the Crade area, checked Spazer, and then went over to Ice, and then went straight down to Croc. And I felt like I got really rewarded for doing Croc.
Yeah. So I was actually putting off going down to Ridley because I didn't have enough energy tanks. I had 2 energy tanks and 2 reserves at the time.
Oh geez. When I did Ridley, I had 6.
Yeah. So I actually was like, I'm gonna go down and check out Crocomire just in case. Like, ooh, Moon Pearl. So there wasn't any more energy tanks. Then I went up, and the energy tank that was at the end was just enough that I'm like, I have to go and fight Ridley now. I've got enough ammo. I got charge beam.